On Blue Star Saber here once again to discuss another Star Wars Bad Batch episode, the 9th episode of the series, I believe. Let's see, which is titled Bounty Lost, and which is continuing up from the last episode in which Omega has been captured by Cad Bane, while the Bad Batch are being chased by Crosshair, as we see in the beginning of the episode. Crosshair is chasing the Bad Batch as they jump out to hyperspace and that stuff. After Echo convinces Hunter that the bounty hunters are long gone from here now, in which we see Cad Bane holding Omega prisoner, and she's trying to ask where she is and all that stuff, and he's not saying anything. And you have the droid Todo just keeping a watch on her and all that stuff. Let's see, particularly trying to get him to trying to get Cad Bane to fix his leg, which he ignores. Anyway, he contacts the Kaminoans that he has Omega. So they now discuss about giving the credits to Cad Bane and all that stuff with the scientist Nala saying that she'll go to deliver the credits to him. Let's see, the bounty hunter, however, the Prime Minister Lama Su instead sends his assistant Tan Wee to go and retrieve to retrieve the Omega from Bane from the facility of Barovio, as he feels that Lama Su is too. Sorry about that. My microphone just out, so that caused me to. Thing. But anyway, yes, the Prime Minister sending his assistant to go to Kamino rather than the scientist, because he feels that she's too attached to Omega or something like that in order to deal with this job. So we have that. Meanwhile, the Bad Batch have figure out which bounty hunter has kidnapped Omega, as Echo reveals that the bounty hunter from Cad Bane's description from looking at the Republic files is that the one who kidnapped her is Cad Bane, who, as we know, has had multiple run-ins with the Jedi, particularly Obi-Wan and Anakin, though he doesn't really mention them by name. But he says his most notable feature is attempts to try and kidnap Chancellor Palpatine. Though others may remember him for the Holocron heist, or taking the Senate hostage, all that stuff. So yeah, to rescue Zero the Hutt. So yeah, the Bad Batch has figured out. With the Bad Batch wondering, particular Wrecker wondering why all these bounty hunters are after, Omega. Tech has revealed that after doing a lot more research on Omega, he's found out that Omega is a pure first generation clone and has first generation pure clone and has the DNA of Jango Fett, the pure DNA of Jango Fett, saying that she's a pure replication, and the only other clone to have been similar to this is Boba Fett, who was originally referred to as Alpha. So the clones, but he disappeared at the beginning of the Clone Wars to Caminos, who went off to be a bounty hunter. Though granted, the Republic did have him in prison for a while, which I'm surprised the Kaminoans didn't try to retrieve him, but yeah. But yeah, so the Bad Batch realized that it's the Kaminoans after Omega, and that's why they've been sending out bounty hunters, because, since she's a pure first generation clone with the genetic DNA of Jango Fett, she is literally vital for the Kaminoans' reset cloning projects for the future, though it remains unclear just what exactly it is, but yeah. So one of the ways you could arguably say Omega is Boba's actual pure sister, if you could. Alpha and Omega. I can't believe I just did that reference, but yeah. Anyway, Omega is back on the Cad Bane's ship as she tries to persuade Todo to let her out so she can repair him. But once he does, she shuts him down and tries to find the comlink. However, Cad Bane has arrived to the planet and and tries to call for Todo. So Omega has to quickly escape the ship and all that stuff as they're landing and tries to get in contact with the Bad Batch, which she starts to get access to. However, Cad Bane has reacted to Todo and tells to stay on the ship and catches up to Omega, just as the Bad Batch have been given her instructions to try and access a satellite communications device and all that stuff. However, Cad Bane catches up to Omega and breaks her communication device, so now they have no means of communicating instructions. However, another ship has returned, and as Todo tries to alert Cad Bane. Tries to alert Cad Bane and all that stuff. However, just as he's captured Omega, who reveals that she's been paid to capture her alive, though she still hasn't figured out who wants her and stuff. However, after they hear a blast of fire, and it's revealed that Taun We has been killed by none other than Fennec Shand, who is also after Omega. So you get a sort of bit of a standoff. As Cad Bane says, as Cad Bane is not willing to give up Omega because, he did the job, he gets paid. However, Fennec Shand has the credits and is willing to, give Bane the credits if she gets, Omega. However, Todo arrives and grabs the credit case, and then a fight begins between Fennec Shand and Cad Bane, which resulted in a grenade being thrown by Cad Bane, which Fennec Shand threw, kicked to where Todo was, blowing him to the air, pushing him to the air, blowing him to be pushed off into the sky. Unfortunately, the case has been damaged, and all the credits fall out. So Bane no longer has his credits, so now he must make sure he definitely captures Omega. So he can bring it back to the Kaminoans and all that stuff. However, Fennec Shand, as he fights him and stuff, as Omega attempts to escape. Eventually, though he does get knocked out, and I believe Cad Bane gets knocked out, leaving Todo to go after Omega. Eventually, Omega finds one of the Kamino's lab stations and stuff to try and contact for the satellite, for the communications device, for the Bad Batch to pursue her. However, Fennec Shand is right behind, as was caught up to her, and reveals that that the Bad Batch won't come in time to save her, and that Omega's coming with him. However, Omega remembers the last time from Pantora, doesn't want to come doesn't want to go with Fennec Shand and that stuff. However, Fennec Shand reveals that she's not exactly working for the Kaminoans, Prime Minister, as she has another client that wants her safe and all that stuff, and saying that Omega's best chance of survival is to come with her. However, Turbo eventually starts clashing with her a bit, and she knocks him out, leaving Omega enough time to drop one of the Kaminoans' cloning pods, because that's where she's also in a cloning pods facility, which we see all these dead clones of Kaminoans and maybe some other aliens. I think I saw Sulston in one of them, but it ends up crashing on. She ends up releasing one, which crashes on Fennec Shand as she escapes. Eventually, it results in her being caught again by Fennec Shand, or Cad Bane. I'm trying to remember that bit. But either way, you get another skirmish between the two, as Omega tries to climb down some ladders eventually, and eventually hopping a ride on Tibo to go into an escape pod that ends up failing and all that stuff. However, the Bad Batch arrive in time to rescue Omega, and before Cad Bane can pursue them and all that stuff, Fennec Shand has managed to tie up Bane and push him off a cliff, though he survives due to his rocket boots, as Fennec Shand goes to sabotage Cad Bane's ship as Todo tries to recover it and all that stuff. leaving Cad Bane to be furious that he can no longer, go after the Bad Batch while his ship is, damaged and all that stuff. Anyway, Omega is reunited with the Bad Batch, particularly being hugged by Wrecker, and then she goes to hug Hunter, asking why the Kaminoans are after her, and the Bad Batch start to explain how she's different from the rest of the clones and more unique than all that stuff. And some of this is probably explained off screen, particularly stuff that Tech probably told the Bad Batch earlier. Anyway, we get Fennec Shan getting contacted by none other than Nala Se, who is revealed to have been hired by Nala Se to make sure that Omega is safe and not in the hands of Lama Su, who wants to extract Omega, cloning DNA and have her killed afterwards once he has the genetic materials that he needs. So Fennec Shan offers to go and track her and stuff, but for extra paychecks, however, Nala Su is fine as long as Omega is safe and out of Lama Su's hands. However, she says, if you need it, if you change your mind, you know how to contact me, implying that, Nala Su will get to, will probably recall for Fennec Shan's services again at some point in future episodes. And the episode ends with Omega going to Hunter while the other members of the Bad Batch are sleeping while he is piloting the ship, and she said she doesn't really want to go to Kamino again or be captured by the Kaminoans end up an experiment, just as the other Kaminoan, just like what happened to those clones in the Kaminoans' old research facility, as Fennec Shan pointed out to her earlier and all that stuff. However, Hunter promises her that she will never be back in Kamino ever again, and the episode ends with that promise. With only the future if only time will tell if whether or not Hunter will able to keep that promise. So, first of all, I like how these last 3 episodes, while not loosely connected, you could serve as a sort of trilogy for the Bad Batch, as I guess the Bracca story arc, or the Hunt for the Bad Batch on Bracca arc, or I don't know, some sort of trilogy of some sort of trilogy of episodes with Rex taking the Bad Batch to Bracca to remove their chips, with the Bad Batch we'd see encountering Crosshair during the second episode, and then Omega being captured by Cad Bane, and the third episode being the Bad Batch trying to find Omega as she's been kidnapped by Cad Bane, and you get a scuffle between 2 bounty hunters to rescue over the fate of Omega and all that stuff. So I don't know. I suppose the Star Wars fandom will come up with some sort of nickname for this trilogy of episodes, which at the moment I'm just going to call the Bracca trilogy, I guess. And granted, Bracca really rarely appeared in the 3rd episode, but they did escape from that. I guess the mission to Bracca, maybe. So yeah. Overall, I like how the episode is immediately continued off from where we last left off, with the Bad Batch trying to escape Crosshair, who's really determined to try and capture them, despite how wounded he is. But the Bad Batch, of course, escaped with Echo being the voice of reason, from what I can see, especially for the last few episodes, by telling Hunter that we need to do this, all that stuff. We need to, Omega's, since Hunter wanted to stay, try and find the bounty hunter, but Echo points out the bounty hunter's probably long gone by now. So yeah, we have to go. So we have to leave and all that stuff. I like how Cad Bane introduces himself to Omega with Cad Bane at your service. Let's see, and then we get some funny moments with Tebow 360, whose leg is trying to get Cad Bane to fix his leg, but doesn't do it. But eventually gets tricked into Omega that, I'll do it, which she does, and It's a bit interesting as she gets a bit civil with Teebo 360, since she does actually repair. She actually repaired Droid's legs like this for like a. Oh, let me just try and find the droid's name. Let's see. Let's see. I believe it was mentioned. Oh yeah, AZI. Let's see. Oh, blimey, that's a mouthful. Let's see. ACI 3, or let's see. Yeah, the Kaminoan droid that Fives and Omega have befriended. But yeah, so there's that. I do like how she ends up asking about Teebo 360's relationship to Cad Bane, with saying that, well, Cad Bane doesn't seem to treat him well, but Teebo seems to think that it's adequate enough for the most part, though. It seems he's forgotten that Cad Bane did blow him up at one point for the Jedi Holocron heist thing, which I still find a bit weird. Because let's see, because I feel like Dave Filoni has never given a really. Granted, I know Dave Filoni says that Cad Bane rebuilt him, but I'm a bit curious to see how he was able to rebuild him, since he blew him up inside the Jedi Temple, and I doubt he'd go to recover any remains and stuff unless he had like a backup memory or something, and just put him in another droid's body and stuff. But who knows? I wonder if it doesn't look like he remembers that or not. But I don't know. But yeah, I guess Dave Filoni figured like he might have future use for the droid, which it seems to finally done for now for this episode for Cad Bane. As now, granted, he ended up being a bit of a hindrance for Cad Bane when Omega tricked him into deactivate him so she could get a common escape and all that stuff. He did prove quite useful in trying to help him against Fennec Jade by either stealing the credits or going after Omega and all that stuff. Now, eventually ends up being used once again by Omega to escape as she jumps on him to fly down to the escape pod. So he sort of built up a sort of arch enemy thing for. So it seems like Omega's become like Turbo 360's arch enemy for this episode, or I don't know. They'll probably have some hostilities again towards each other in future episodes, unless maybe she tries to reprogram him to be more friendly to her. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, I like how Lama Su is. And I find it intriguing how Lama Su is really determined to get Omega and seems to have a lack of regard for her well-being once he gets what he needs, as he wants like a genetic temple or DNA and all that stuff. So and brushes off like Nala says what's he concerned for like him, and just sends like Taun We to go after him, his like most trusted advisor. For those who may know, it's the Kaminoan that Obi-Wan was introduced to first during Attack of the Clones, and she ends up dying in this episode. So yeah. So it's been a while since we've seen a movie character being killed off in a television show, as that did happen quite a bit in the Clone Wars, but that was mostly just only characters that did not survive Revenge of the that did not appear in Revenge of the Sith. So as the Clone Wars was not afraid to kill off any of the movie characters, as long as they did not die, as long as they did not appear or die before like Revenge of the Sith or any of the time periods of the original trilogy. Now that we're past Revenge of the Sith, we're still getting some movie characters. We're shown to still get some movie characters dying, but only if they have not appeared in any of the original trilogies. So who knows? It's very possible that the Prime Minister Lama Su might eventually bite the dust by the end of this Bad Batch, season or future seasons. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, as long as the characters are not did not appear in the original trilogy, there's a chance that they could die and and all that stuff. So yeah, so characters, or if they they die in the original trilogy, which is like characters like Obi-Wan, Bale, and Yoda. They will die in the original trilogy, but they'll still be alive if you ever see them appear in stuff like The Bad Batch or the Kenobi live action series or Rebels. But but once they get to their respective movies, when they die, they of course die. But and I'm sort of going on about this about movie characters dying, but yeah, it's interesting to see her die, though. It's a bit of a shame, I will admit, that we won't get to see more of this character. But yeah. But what I find, but I am finding like Nala Se's motivations to be very interesting, particularly how she's hired Fennec Shan to keep Omega safe from Lama Su. It's kind of interesting because her relationships with the clones has always been a bit interesting because she appeared in the Malevolence trilogy, in which she was willing to stay behind on the medical station where all the injured clones that could not be moved, seeming to sort of a sense of care for these injured clones. However, during like the Order 66 arc in season 6 of the Clone Wars with the chips and all that stuff, she seemed to show a lack of regard or concern for clones and just viewing them as Kaminoan property, when having clashes as Fives and Shaak Ti in regards to Tup. So there was that. However, it seems like Omega might be the exception now. I don't know why she's trying to keep it. Now, I don't know why she wants Omega to be alive and why she doesn't want her to be killed by Lama Su's orders, but I think eventually we will probably find out, possibly even when she might end up meeting Omega again, or maybe a member of the Bad Batch and all that stuff. But speaking of which, the main highlight of this episode is the skirmish between Cad Bane and Fennec Shand, as we get her. This is her second appearance in the Bad Batch after the Ventura episodes, all that stuff. And let's see. She's got built up quite the reputation already that Cad Bane knows her, but definitely thinks that he's above her and all that stuff. And they fight, and I like how they seem to be quite evenly matched, with one getting the upper hand amongst another, even when Cad Bane has the assistance of Turbo 360. I like the gunslinging fight they had at the beginning to eventually becoming a hand-to-hand combat fist fight towards the end. Though whether or not who you say is the actual winner at the end of this, you probably might say Fennec Shan, as she was able to tie Cad Bane up and push him off the cliff, though he survived due to his jet boots, and then sabotaged his ship and stuff, though. So I guess you could say this round goes to like Fennec Shan, though. Who knows? Cad Bane will probably want a rematch in the future, but I don't think we've seen the last of Cad Bane, and I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Fennec Shan, so they'll probably be, back in pursuit of like Omega, though Cad Bane for Lama Su and Fennec Shan for Nala Se, so who knows? I also probably figured the Bad Batch will probably learn for that. Fennec Shan is actually, working with Nala Se to help Omega, I guess. That's clear that, Nala Su does want Omega to come with her and all that stuff, but as long as, but she's willing to make sure, Lama Su doesn't have and if the Bad Batch continue to keep her safe, she's fine with the Omega being there for the time being. But anyway, speaking of Omega, I'm finally glad that this episode has finally revealed why Omega is a key important, because one criticism for some people is like, why is Omega here? What's so important for her? And it turns out, we finally learned that she is a pure created first-generation clone of Jango Fett. The only other one is a Boba, who was originally named Alpha before Fett changed it to Boba, I guess. So, yeah, you have Alpha and Omega, which I believe there's a movie about that. But and I think there's a sort of Alpha and Omega saying in general. But yeah, so you could argue that she's genetically Boba Fett's pure sister enough, even though all clones regard themselves as brothers and stuff. But yeah, she's the only other clone that's like Boba Fett, which makes her even more unique than the Bad Batch for their enchantments that give them the special skills that they have. So yeah, so it probably also means that Omega is probably going to age normally like the rest of like Boba Fett. So that'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see if we eventually get to see Omega. Maybe we have to. It'd be very interesting to see what Omega's fate will be at the end of but a Bad Batch. For all we know, we may end up seeing her in the Mandoverse live action series, where she might even appear in the book of Boba Fett. But who knows? It does make me wonder if Boba Fett is eventually going to be appearing in the Bad Batch, since the clones since the Bad Batch mentioned all that stuff. So yeah. Also interesting to learn that Boba Fett's original name was Alpha. So there's that. Let's see what else to discuss. So yeah. I'm trying to think. So yeah. I do like how the Bad Batch, was able to use the Republic records to find out who Cad Bane is, and I like how Tech has finally figured out why Omega is so important, and that they've finally figured out that it's the Kaminoans are after her, which might have been a bit obvious should have been a bit obvious to them in retrospect, but who knows? But yeah, but hey. But overall, I really like the reunion with the Bad Batch and Omega as she gets hugged by Wrecker and immediately comes to hug Hunter, who's probably like her father figure / big brother thing, and I guess you could say Wrecker's like an uncle and all that stuff, but yeah. Either way, and you get like a promise that from Hunter that he will not let Omega be returned to Kamino, which clearly is supposed to imply that this is probably going to be a promise he can't keep, as Omega's probably going to somehow get to Kamino at some point, either being captured by, the bounty hunters, or, I don't know, maybe Crosshair and stuff, and she's taken to Kamino and all that stuff. But yeah, overall, we're probably going to get the Bad Batch returning to Kamino, possibly the Season 1 finale. So yeah. But speaking of Kamino, I do like how we end up seeing one of their other cloning research facilities that they abandoned, and it's to show that besides the home planet of Kamino, they've also been they cloned in other planets and that stuff before. Just sticking to their operations on Kamino, and it's actually quite disturbing to see all these old cloning methods where we see like these now dead cloning corpses inside these tanks and that stuff, and these green tanks and that stuff possibly have expired cloning stuff. But yeah. So yeah, that was interesting. So yeah, and it's like a very sort of sci-fi horror kind of thing there, which disturbs Omega. She does not want to be, And we end up seeing like a Kaminoan's like clone corpse as it falls on Fennec Shan, and it's like really disturbing to think. But yeah, it's no surprise that Kaminoans would clone themselves, for we know the whole species might be clone based in some form, or their ancestor or their descendants from cloned ancestors, or a mix of both, maybe. Who knows? Overall, I'll give this episode a 9 out of 10. This is the episode that has had the least amount of screen time for the Bad Batch, but it has been probably to its benefit, as it allows us to do something that's very similar to what the old Clone Wars did by with the closest they've gotten to like the Clone Wars of doing an anthology series, in which sometimes you wouldn't always see the conflict between the Jedi and the Sith, the clones and the droids. Instead, focus on some of the stuff outside of there, such as Mandalorians, bounty hunters, politics with Padme and all that stuff. Overall, but yeah, and it's a nice conclusion of like the Mission to Bracca trilogy you've got here. Granted, I'm a bit surprised at how quickly Omega is reunited with Bad Batch. I thought they would have done something like similar to the child, with the Mandalorian, but perhaps they figured maybe people say this is too similar to that. So Omega is back with the Bad Batch, but who knows? She might be captured again, and she will probably be taken to Kamino. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next episode, which is called Common Ground, so who knows? But yeah, I'm assuming the Bad Batch will probably go back to Sid for the next episode and all that stuff, since they did contact her to try and get information on Cad Bane, but she had none, so we'll probably get a few more episodes with that, but I'm hoping that Bad Batch will keep up the pacing of episodes I've done with the last few weeks. Because let's see, the second half of the Bad Batch is supposed to be the turning point. I do know that they're going to Onderon eventually again, but yeah. But anyway, I'm Blue Star Saber signing off. May the Force be with you.